Hello and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. As you can see from the wheel sitting next to me, it is time for my March Wheel of TBR to decide what books I'm going to be reading in March. Now, we're going to start off with a recap of February, and then I will talk a little bit about my reading plans for March, and then we'll get into the spins. So, for my spins in February, I had a book with a number in the title, and for that I chose The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I did read. The next prompt was a graphic novel, and for that I chose Volume 3B of the Age of Bronze series by Eric Shanower, which I also read. Then I had landed on the same prompt more than one time, or the same space rather, more than one time. So I pulled a title from my TBR jar, and for that I chose The Night Swim by Megan Golden, which I have not yet read, but I am planning on starting tomorrow. Next was Most Intimidating, and for that I chose Finley Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano, which I did read. And the final spin was Favorite Author, and for that I chose The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, which I am almost finished with. I am currently on chapter 69, which is page 295, so I will be finishing this today. So that will mean that I read 4 of the 5 books that I was supposed to read for my February TBR. I don't do punishments and things like that. This is all in fun. February was a very low-key reading month for me. I actually only read 5 books, I think, total. So yeah, and I'm okay with that. It will be 6 after I finish The Flat Share, but right now I'm at 5. So yeah, I just took it easy this month. Didn't really want to stress about forcing myself to read when I didn't feel like it. You could probably tell that because I only posted 1 vlog this month, and that was my vlog for In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which was my buzzword pick. So yeah, we'll see what March brings. Now, March is the month-long round of the Final Book Support Group, which is hosted by Steph over at Steph Loves. I am going to be participating in that. I have chosen my cabin. So at the end of this video, I will go through the prompts for that readathon to see if I can fit any books from my wheel into that readathon. Now that is a readathon focused entirely on series books, and that's actually what I'm going to be aiming to try to fill all of my prompts with, is series books, because I think it would be nice to like be able to check off a few more series from my to read list. So yeah, we will just play it by ear, see what the wheel gives me, and then I will also chat about any other books that I still need to read as well. Okay, so the wheel is all set because I did go ahead and fill that last prompt in last month, and that prompt was greater than 500 pages. So this is the prompt that I added. So we're gonna spin the wheel 5 times per the usual and see what books I can get on my TBR. So here is spin number 1. Okay, spin number 1 is dystopian. So let me see what I've got that I can make work for that. Okay, so for dystopian, I am actually gonna go with Delirium by Lauren Oliver. This has been on my shelf for literal years, possibly even since the book came out, which was back in 2011. So I feel like this is a good time to actually read a book off of my shelf and see what I think about this. I know this is the start of a series. The Final Book Support Group does encourage people to start series that have been on their shelves, so I'm still kind of abiding by the rule, even if it's not a final book. But yes, this is what I'm going to choose for my dystopian pick, and we can see if this is a series that I'm going to want to continue, because so far this is the only book that I own. Okay, we are going to replace that prompt, of course. So let's see what we've got. Do this one. Okay, this one is an unseasonal read, so a book that doesn't really fit in with whatever season we're currently in. We're in winter right now, but I could also possibly do spring since we're getting into March as my seasonal. So I guess summer or fall would be my unseasonal reads if I were to land on that. So, okay, enough of that. Let's do spin number 2. Okay, and that is the greater than 500 pages prompt. So let me take a look and see what I want to choose for that one. Okay, for greater than 500 pages, normally that would be a prompt that I'm not like real keen on, but I have a list of 10 series that I want to finish in 2023, and the second book in one of those series is way over 500 pages. It's like 700 something, and that is European Travels for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. This is the second book in her Athena Club series, where you are following daughters of like famous historical figures, Frankenstein, Dr. Moreau, what else? Rappaccini, and just following them, Mary Jekyll, Dr. Hyde, that kind of thing. So you have their daughters who are kind of traveling throughout Europe to try to locate other daughters like them, and you get cameos from Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, and it was a really fun time to read the first book. So I'm curious to see where the series is going to go, but the second book is definitely over 500 pages, so that's the one we're going to pick. Okay, once again, replacing that prompt with this one. Oh, this is a challenge from my Always Fully Booked planner. So there are several to choose from. So if I land on that one, not this time though, because that would be a double, but for future reference, that is any challenge out of the Always Fully Booked planner. All right, spin number 3. Okay, perfect. This is a book from my 23 and 2023 list. Now this prompt stays on here, and this is the only prompt that is exempt from if I land on it more than once, I have to do the TBR jar, because my goal is to get through these in a timely fashion this year. And I already know which one I'm probably gonna pick for that, so let me grab it. Okay, for 23 and 2023, I'm actually going to go with a little tiny short book that is also the first book in a series, and that is The Upstairs Room by Joanna Reese. This is the first of 2 books. I don't own the second one. This is the kind of updated cover, which I really do like. This follows her true story, the true story of the author who was hidden away from the Nazis during World War II. It's her and her little sister, I believe, and they are hiding in the upstairs room of a remote farmhouse, and it just kind of tells her story. So the second book, I think, follows her going back home, possibly. I don't know, but this is the only one that I own. This is the one on my 23 and 2023 list. It is super short, so that is even better. So we're gonna go ahead and go with this one. Okay, that one doesn't change, as I mentioned, so here is spin number 4. Ooh, very nice. It is a mood read, which is a wonderful prompt when you have a readathon. So, yes, mood read. I'll give you some ideas of what I might read for that mood read. So, let me gather those up. Okay, for mood read, I have 2 possible choices because I need to fit in my buzzword book for March and also the Literally Dead book club book for March. So one of those 2 will probably be my mood read. So the first one is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Riches by Sangu Mandana. I don't own this, but here's the cover. This is my buzzword pick for March because the buzzword is the word secret in the title. So that one fits perfectly. But we also have The Spite House by Johnny Compton, which is the Literally Dead book club book for March. So one of those 2 will probably cover my mood read. All right, and replacing mood read with a retelling. And I have just decided that it's any kind of retelling, whether it's mythology, fairy tales, any kind of retelling will work for that prompt. All right, y'all, which means we are down to our final spin, spin number 5. Okay, and it landed on 23 in 2023 again. So as I mentioned, that is the only spot on my wheel that's exempt from the TBR jar rule. So let me grab another one to read this month. And for the final 23 in 2023 book, I am going with another really short one. It is the start of another series, although I'm not, as of right now, planning on reading the rest of the series. It still works for Final Book Support Group, and that is Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien, I believe. I believe there's a C in his name. And this follows Mrs. Frisby, whose husband, she is a mouse. Her husband is also a mouse. He is killed by this group of scientists or whatever, the Rats of Nim, and it's kind of her adventure as she tries to keep her children and her home safe and her community safe. There is a movie version which I watched years and years ago, so I'm planning on reading the book and then watching it just to do like a little comparison, but this is the other one from my 23 and 2023 list that I'm going to put on March's TBR because it again is very short and I need that. And I do not switch that prompt out, so obviously it will stay there. So now let's go ahead and talk about the Final Book Support Group readathon, the prompts for that. There is one that I will need to pick because it is a random number generator. So we will do all of that fun stuff right now. So I am joining the Wolf's Tooth cabin. Each cabin has its own set of prompts, but every single cabin has the prompt of a final book because obviously that's the point of this whole thing, is to finish series. So I am actually going to put Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun by El Casimano on here for that final book prompt. I am waiting for my copy to come in at the library, and I actually have not read the second one yet, but I'm hoping to get to that very soon. So I will hopefully be able to cross that entire series off my TBR in March. So the second book is Finley Donovan Knocks 'em Dead, which I actually have right here from the library. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I listened to the first book on audio and really enjoyed the audio, so I'm thinking that's probably how I'm going to do the second one as well, but I do have a physical copy. As you can see, that I borrowed from the library. So we will see. But yes, I would like to read both books 2 and 3, but for the final book prompt, we're going to put book 3, which is Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun, because that is the last book that's been released. I don't know if there's going to be more of them. I don't know enough about this series. I've only read the first one. But yes, I will be reading book 2 and book 3 for this readathon, and I am hoping to vlog this, but don't hold me to that, please, because I was planning on vlogging them in February and I never even got to this one, and my hold still hasn't come in on the third one. So hopefully that will actually come in and I can go ahead and read that. Now, one of the prompts for the Wolf's Tooth is to do a random number generator. Now, I have a shelf on my Goodreads called Next in Series, so here's a picture of the beginning of that shelf, if you will, and I'm just going to generate a random number from a random number generator, obviously, and we're going to pick one of the books off of my Next in Series shelf for this prompt. So let me pull up a random number generator. I will screen record so you can see the number, and then we will go through and figure out what I'm going to read. So I do have 42 books on that Next in Series shelf. I have quite a lot of series. Also, I did a whole video on this series that I'm like wanting to read, so I'll link that up above if you want to check that out. But anyway, enough rambling. Here's the random number generator. I'm going to generate it 3 times just to make sure it's legit. So here is 1, 2, 3. So the 9th book on my shelf, which probably is going to be a more recent one. We'll see. Let's look it up. Okay, so again, here it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's a graphic novel. I couldn't have asked for something nicer. It is Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo, which is the prequel to her Grishaverse series. I am very happy with that one, y'all. Not gonna lie, it is very good to get graphic novels on your TBRs for these things. So that will be my pick for my random number. Yay, that was very exciting. And if you are not familiar, Demon in the Wood is like the Darkling's story. So, you know, the prequel to the whole thing. I guess his life, how he came to be the Darkling. I don't know. But it is the only one of the original Grishaverse that I need to read. So that will cross off a final book technically as well. That's exciting. Okay, for the rest of the prompts, we've got dark cover, so a book with a dark cover. And for this one, I am actually going to go with the 5th book in the Gallagher Girls series by Allie Carter, which is Out of Sight, Out of Time. As you can see, it's got the navy blue dark background. I am also going to be reading the little like prequel novella before this, so that's technically book 4.5. It just has a gray cover, so it would also work for dark cover. But I'm going to read both of those just to get caught up because my goal is to have this series finished like by summer. So at this point, I will just have the one book left after this one. So yes, Out of Sight, Out of Time will work for my dark cover prompt. Then we have a small book, and for that one, I am choosing The Upstairs Room by Joanna Reese. Now, obviously, I could do another graphic novel. I have a few of them, so I'll just flash them right here. None of this is set in stone. I'm kind of gonna do like a mood read March, but you know, try to check off as many of these as possible. But some ideas would be Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna McGuire, which is the 2nd book in the Wayward Children series. We have A Mirror Mended by Alex E. Harrow, which is the 2nd book in her Fractured Fables series. I could also do Mouse 2 by, what is it, Art Spiegelman, I believe is his name, the 2nd book in his series, because I believe that one is kind of short. We have Kithe by, or Kithe, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry, by Holly Black, which is the 2nd book in like her middle grade graphic novel series. And then I also have Apollo, the Brilliant One by George O'Connor, which is the 7th book in his Olympian series. So I could do all of those for small book as well, but part of the reason why I went with this one for my 23 and 2023 prompt was for the small book prompt. So it will probably be this, but it could also be any of those other books that I just mentioned. Okay, and the last prompt is a book that is wild and adventurous. And for that one, I am going to choose European Travels for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss, because those girls get up to some shenanigans that turn out to be quite wild and adventurous. And I believe in this one, they are like traveling across Europe in a train. So that's definitely adventurous, and I know they're going to get up to a few things here and there. So looking forward to seeing just how wild and adventurous that book is going to be. But that will be the other prompt for The Wolf's Tooth. So I do not own a lot of these books, y'all, so I'm not gonna be able to like hold them up and make like a pretty book stack. I'm sorry. These are the 3 that I have in my actual hands. So obviously we have Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead, and then you can add Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun onto that. We have Delirium by Lauren Oliver. We have The Upstairs Room by Joanna Reese. And then I am also, for my wheel, going to be doing Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien, and the European Travels for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. So those are my Wheel of TBR picks. And then of course we have these final book support group prompts as well. This video is kind of chaotic. I apologize. So yes, we'll pretend that I've got like a big O stack here, but really I just have 3. So hopefully I can get back into my reading groove for March. As I mentioned, February I just decided to take it easy. Sometimes you just need to do what you need to do. And I'm looking forward to crossing a lot of these series books off my TBR. A few of the titles are on my 10 series to finish in 2023, so I'm happy to be able to check a few more of those off as well, and we will just see what I get up to. I am hoping to at least be able to do 2 reading vlogs during the month. One of them I know I'm going to be vlogging is my week of spring break, which is the final week in March, so that I will definitely be vlogging. But as for anything else, I'm not making any promises. Things have been crazy. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. And I will see you when I see you. Bye, everyone.